Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a little bit since I've done a video, but I got a really exciting video. It's kind of a review. It's also kind of a little knowledge lesson, I guess. Things I've been learning and studying. Something that's kind of interests me and whatnot. But the main subject of the video is going to be over two new knives that I got. They are made here in Texas in the US, and I've really enjoyed them so far. I've only had them for about a week and a half now, but they are performing just as good as what I thought they would. So I'm going to readjust the camera and get you a closer look at them, kind of go over some features, and then kind of go over the different things that I've learned about them, the style of the knife that it is, the purpose of why it's made, kind of a little bit of history and backstory on it. So stick with me and I'll get this adjusted, all right? All right, guys. So I got two new knives this past weekend. It's been, it's been now about a week and a half. We had an early Thanksgiving out at my my in-laws, and I stopped by a saddle shop, western store, feed store, you know, kind of just a good old country store. I was looking at some knives in there. I originally went in looking for, you know, different things and kind of stumbled upon these. But the more I got to looking at them, their price range, their function, their overall quality, I was just very, very impressed. So pulled the trigger and I bought two. Now, this is a company here in Texas. It's called Texas Cutlery, and it's out of Weatherford, Texas. It's actually the same town that my in-laws live in, so that was kind of cool. They are made in the U.S. I got both of these knives from a store called Teskey's. I'll put a link to their website down at the bottom if this interests you. There's their website here, and they have the type of knife and some more info here. So let's get into the knives. So the first one is a jackknife. This is your standard trapper style knife. It's got a really pretty logo right here. If I can get it to zoom in on that. It says Texas Cutlery, Weatherford, Texas. I believe this is black micarta. The knives, both of these knives have stainless steel on the ends, and their pins are stainless steel. The blade shapes are just your standard trapper shapes. So you've got these two blade shapes here, and this one is about 3.5, 4 inches maybe. I haven't measured them, so don't take my word for it. But the specs for these knives are both the same as far as the blade, the grind, except the material on the scales. Everything else is going to be the same. So I'll just say it for this one, and then I'll just show you the other one, and you can just know that they're the same. Both of these, like I said, are made in the U.S. They both are hollow ground blades, and they're carbon steel. The bolsters here are nickel on both of them, and like I said, stainless steel pins and liners. So this is the first one. This is just their trapper style, and like I said, I think that's black micarta. And then the second one I got is a little bit bigger. This is called their bullet trapper. It's got a lanyard hole here. It's got two pins, stainless liners, stainless liners, nickel bolster, only on one end, and it has a natural bone handle. So it's a really pretty bone handle. I love that. We put this one up. And this one opens up here. Sorry, I just trimmed my fingernail, so this may be a little bit of a challenge. It's got a lot of action on it. So here's this blade, and this is a pretty big knife. I mean, you can tell the size. You know, it's pretty big, and the handle actually fits really well. I mean, this could almost be a fixed blade. And then there's your other blade, and the way it looks fully extended. I'm trying to do this and keep it all on the camera, guys, so bear with me. And then on both of them, it has here, don't think it's going to focus in on that, but this says right here, it's a little stamp that says Texas Cutlery, Weatherford, Texas. And then on both of them on the back, it has Carbon Steel USA on both knives. So, why trappers? Well, for one, my biggest reason for buying these was the simple fact I have got probably 15, 16 of these style knives. But I don't use them the way that I want to. And the reason is I inherited them from my grandpa. And in all honesty, I know it's probably not what he would have wanted me to do, but I don't like using them. I'm afraid I'm going to mess them up. They're kind of an heirloom for me, and they just hold a lot of memory. You know, some of them I would actually see him pull out of his pocket every day and use, and I just can't bring myself to use those the way a jackknife should be used and the way it used to be used by him and his friends and all of the people years and years and years before me that have used jackknives. I don't want to use the knives he gave me for fear of them breaking or me messing them up. So I keep them, you know, safe and sound away from my daily, you know, work and all that stuff. So that was my biggest reason for wanting to get a couple of new jackknives that I bought with my money. I picked out, I knew were going to be good knives that I wanted to test and start carrying a jackknife all the time. I used to carry a case stainless knife, and it had the 3 blades on there, and it worked, but I got tired of the stainless. It seems kind of counterintuitive for someone to say that, because stainless is really popular with people that just want a pocket knife and they're not going out and doing bushcraft type task or doing outdoor type task where they would be sharpening their knife on their own, you know, taking care of it by, you know, oiling the blade to keep it from rusting, wanting carbon steel so that it can, you know, throw sparks if you need it to off flint. All those things that we just have kind of gotten used to requiring from a knife. I didn't like the stainless because, for one, you know, I want those things in my knife, but it just didn't sharpen as well as a carbon knife. I've gotten used to carbon steel knives, and I don't mind taking care of them, and I actually enjoy doing that. So, you know, there was a ton of case knives at this store, and I was really tempted to get another good one. I lost the one I had for years in a transition of moving from one place to another, and it just got misplaced. And I was really tempted to get another case knife, but I saw these. I saw it was made in Texas, made in the U.S., and it you know, the price were really, really good on them. So I'm going to adjust this camera a little bit and kind of go into the next part of the video. Hang with me. All right. So like I said, this is Texas Cutlery's version of their trapper, and then this is what they call their bullet trapper. It's actually a pretty common name with these kind of jackknives, but what really kind of got me interested in finding another, you know, a pair of jackknives that I would want to use for myself, and I wouldn't be afraid to use like my grandfather's, is I kind of started looking into the history of them. And I've heard a couple of people talking about jackknives and different, you know, jargon and slang. And, you know, I just got curious. I wanted to know, what did my grandpa say about these kind of knives? So first off, this style trapper with the two blades obviously has a very deep history in the outdoors, in the woods, and just being a utilitarian knife. The name actually comes from, believe it or not, the fur trappers of our history. This was a common styled knife that they carried in their pocket. Obviously, they had a fixed blade, but a lot of guys carried, from what I've understood, this style knife because of the two blade styles, its portability, and just its overall reliability. The trappers normally have the two specific blades like this. Your first blade, this slender full length blade, is called the clip. This is the main versatile blade, multi-purpose. It gets used by the trappers and those guys of our past the most. The point on it is really good for skin and game. This flat area here is good for following along bones as you're skinning, and then the curved point here obviously helps with it too. This got used a lot with, you know, just versatile tasks along, you know, along the trail and whatnot. Now your second blade, this blade is a full length curved point blade. It doesn't come to a sharp point like this one. It's called the Spey, and it's spelled S-P-E-Y. And this was the common all-purpose utility blade. So this was used for most of the stuff that you didn't want to damage this blade using. And if you notice, which I did, especially with this knife out of the box, this blade was razor sharp compared to this blade. At first, now I worked on both of these a little bit. I worked on this one more than I did with this black one. This one was pretty much good to go out of the box, but I noticed that with both of these, more so with this one, and wondered, well, did the makers not put the correct edge on there? Did they slack off, or, you know, what's going on? And after reading and stuff, I couldn't help but think maybe that was intentional. Maybe the Spey blade doesn't have as razor sharp of an edge on there because it's a utilitarian knife. It's the utilitarian blade. So it kind of gets beat up a little bit more. I put a really good edge on both of these regardless, but I would like to think that's the reason. I'm not sure. I don't have any, you know, historical evidence to back that up, but that's what makes sense to me. Your Spey blade is going to take the use and abuse. It's got a wide profile up here, and then this is going to be your main, you know, skinning blade, fine carving stuff. You need it razor hair popping sharp all the time blade, and I don't know. That's what I would think. But like I said, I don't have any historical evidence to back that up. So, continuing with kind of the general profile of the knife, I'll put up a picture here. That picture was the layout and I guess the design of how these knives work. I'm not going to go into all of that. There's a pretty clear description as to how all this is put together and the springs and all the internal components. You can look at that picture, and I'll also put the link to the website that I found most of this information on and that I got the pictures from, because I do not own those pictures. I did not make them or draw them up. I simply borrowed them and I'm passing on the information. So I'll put the link to that website in the description as well. But a common thing that I hear, and I heard my grandpa say this too, when it comes to jackknives or these style pocket knives, is he would always say it has lots of walk and talk. What does that mean? Grandpa, what does that mean? Well, what I've come to learn, and it makes sense, and I had an idea about this. A lot of this stuff is just kind of stuff that I was left to figure out on my own, but I want you to know that I actually looked into this now, and I found, factual research to back this stuff up. So, what it means when someone says that a pocket knife of this style that's not lock blade has lots of walk and talk is what the pocket knife's blade action is. That's what walk and talk is describing, the blade action. So, the tang end of the blade, which, since this isn't a fixed blade, this is going to be your tang end down here. Moving along the spring inside is the walk. Okay? So this action here, and this knife has a lot more walk than this one. This, especially the clip blade on this, it's pretty hard to get out. So that this has a lot of walk on it. The talk is, well, that's part of it right there. The snap of the knife at the end of the opening, that's the talk. Or the closing cycle is the talk. That. So it's basically just slang describing the action on your blade. How well is the blade's retention and how hard is it to open up? And when you buy a knife new, you want the talk to be like this. You want it to be pretty tough, because it's only gonna get easier, and it's only gonna wear in, and it's inevitable after years and years and years, and maybe me passing this down to my kids and then passing it down to theirs, etc. This is gonna wear out to where eventually it'll just open up really easy and it'll close on itself really easy. It's just part of it being metal, and just the way it's designed. So anyways, I thought I'd go over these two new knives that I got. They are both just really, really cool. I'm really enjoying them. I haven't gotten to use the big bullet trapper yet as much as I've gotten to use the smaller one. But I definitely plan on putting this big boy through the works too. And I may do a later review on how they've held up. But if you haven't had a chance, or you haven't ever heard of them, check out Texas Cutlery and support this local business. These knives are really great. I'm going to put some additional pictures at the end of this video showing you different blade designs with jackknives. How I talked about these two blades are the clip and the spay. There's other ones, and that picture is also from the website that I put in the description box. And I believe I'm going to try to put up another picture of the actual names of the knife, of what they call the back part here, the scales, all that stuff. So hope you enjoyed this, and I'll let you know how these two knives function. But if they're anything like what I think it'll be, they should be in my grandkids' hands one day. Have a great day, and thank you so much for watching.